The new Mortal Kombat movie made me wish I was playing the video game instead. While this new adaptation of the classic bloody fighting game features all the carnage, fatalities, and recognizable characters that fans have come to expect, the new movie lacks the same fire, charisma, and soul that has allowed this video game franchise to remain among the most celebrated fighting series in video game history for almost 3 decades now. Sure, the movie has some solid action scenes and fun hand-to-hand fights, but it is missing its heart. Well, not a literal heart, but the figurative heart. The one that would have allowed me to give a damn about any of these characters and their respective plights. A heart that has instead been replaced with a copious amount of fan service. Fan service that tries to woo longtime fans as if it were that sexy giant vampiress from Resident Evil Village. To a fault, Mortal Kombat 2021 is stock full of fan service that references the games it is based on, whether through quotable lines, the character-accurate costume design, the various callbacks, the creative kills, or the abundance of Wisconsin-style cheese. Mortal Kombat 2021 features all the fan service and flair that will make fans drool. It contains a blitzkrieg of references that inform the viewer that Mortal Kombat 2021 is indeed a Mortal Kombat movie, and it is all the worse for it. See, the problem with Mortal Kombat 2021 is that it contains absolutely none of the charm that the Mortal Kombat games possess. Yes, even despite the movie's deluge of references, where the games themselves are fun romps that walk the line between taking itself too seriously and pure mindless action, Mortal Kombat 2021's fan service presents a hollow facsimile of the source material that inspired it. If anything, the fan service is so brazen that it negatively affects the movie, because while Mortal Kombat 2021 may have been created by people who respect the legacy of the games, the fan service just comes across as alienating to anyone who just wanted a good movie. And look, I understand the appeal of fan service. I'm a fan of stuff, and on a simplistic level, I can be very easy to please both when it comes to entertainment and in bed. For sure, fan service has its place, and I won't lie. I felt an intrinsic thrill whenever Mortal Kombat 2021 made a callback that I understood. But here is the thing. A good adaptation has to be more than just references, and in Mortal Kombat 2021, the thrills associated with its many callbacks and references are cheap and unearned. Despite its large roster of characters and its very lofty ambitions to be a running franchise with numerous sequels, Mortal Kombat 2021 doesn't give you an actual reason to care about its narrative, characters, or the many references it throws at you. None of the characters are worth empathizing with, and the story itself is a damn drag to the point that fan service alone can't fix it. In fact, the fan service actually highlights how empty the story in this film is, because without its shameless aim to please fans, Mortal Kombat 2021 is an empty, convoluted disaster that doesn't know what kind of film it wants to be. It truly is the college English major of films, and I know that from experience. Mortal Kombat 2021's bad and creatively indecisive qualities start with its story. The plot follows Cole Young, a down-on-his-luck MMA fighter whose glory days in the ring are long behind him. When fighting, Cole routinely gets his ass kicked, and he often looks back wistfully on the days when he was younger, more capable, and a better fighter, rather than a man with average capabilities. At least that's the case all until the plot springs into motion when Cole is hunted down by the evil Ice Ninja Sub-Zero, who is trying to kill Cole under the rationale that he bears a dragon mark on his skin. See, the dragon mark indicates that Cole has been chosen to fight in Mortal Kombat, which is a fighting tournament between our recognizable Earth realm and the nefarious superpowered fighters of Outworld that will determine the fate of the planet. And sadly, Outworld has won the last 9 tournaments, and if they win one more, Earth will be doomed to their tyrannical rule, because we suck. So it is up to Earth's champions such as Cole, Sonya Blade, Jax, Kano, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and Raiden to quickly train and discover their superpowered capabilities associated with their dragon markings in order to fight Sub-Zero, Shang Tsung, Cabal, Goro, and etc. for the fate of the planet in Mortal Kombat. Quick aside, why is it always a fighting tournament that determines the fate of the planet? Why not like a fashion show? Just food for thought. Mortal Kombat 2021's narrative never really captures the viewer's attention. Sure, it is active, jumps around from location to location, or green screen to green screen rather, and constantly introduces new characters, but it never really establishes any emotional connection with the audience. And this is a problem that's mostly due to how the main character, Cole Young, is a non-starter as far as main protagonists go, even though, yes, he did have some potential to be interesting. After all, Cole is an original character created specifically for the movie that could have acted as a fresh slate for Mortal Kombat 2021's story. Presented as a descendant of Scorpion, one of the game's most iconic characters, Cole's character progression could have been engrossing. Throughout the movie, Mortal Kombat 2021 hints that Cole could eventually take up the mantle of Scorpion and unlock his true potential in a way that showed strong character growth. See, Cole gets his ass kicked a lot as if it were me in elementary school, and I figured that Mortal Kombat 2021 was setting Cole up to really come into his own and become the new Scorpion, or at least be able to summon and embody the soul of his ancestor, much in the same way that Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk, because that would have been a really fascinating take on Scorpion as a character. But sadly, Mortal Kombat 2021 never follows through on this potentially interesting arc. Despite how actor Lewis Tan is doing the best he can possibly do with the lackluster material given, Cole as a character is dead weight. He is a complete void of a person who keeps a brick wall between the audience and the well-choreographed action on screen. He lacks a meaningful arc and characteristics beyond the basics, essentially ensuring the viewer can't really empathize with him, as well as engage with the action on screen in any meaningful way. In fact, Cole's character is such a non-entity that the audience can't help but feel distant from the action. Through his boring character development, we only become passive voyeurs of Mortal Kombat 2021's fight sequences and drama, rather than feeling fully connected to it. Cole as a character really is that bad. With that said, Cole isn't the only part of Mortal Kombat 2021 that is affected by the bad script. In fact, the film has a severe pacing issue, seeing as it introduces a new character every few minutes, as well as numerous convoluted exposition dumps that negatively affect the film's flow. In the first half of Mortal Kombat 2021 alone, we watch Cole meet Jax, Sonya, Liu Kang, and Raiden in completely different scenes, all while the movie continuously rains new plot-important information upon us. To be blunt, it is a lot, and despite how it would have made more sense to just introduce most of the characters and exposition at the same time, which really would have condensed the film's bloat and put the focus on the fighting rather than the bullshit lore, Mortal Kombat 2021 stretches each new character interaction in an expository dialogue piece far longer than it should, and unfortunately the film's pace truly suffers as a result. And Mortal Kombat 2021's pacing issues are further compounded by the uninspired supporting characters and their respective development. In fact, the film's characters have very little in the way of relatable motivations aside from broad overtures. For a few examples, Cole cares for his family, Jax is dealing with the loss of his limbs, Kano is a piece of shit, and Sonya Blade just desires to feel included in the boys club despite being a girl, which girl power. Yet Mortal Kombat 2021 never goes anywhere interesting with these character developments. While sure, these character uniquities could have acted as a strong foundation to grow from, they are only used as a way to move the laborious plot forward without the human nuance required to get the audience invested in them. And because of this, only some of the more eccentric characters like Kano, Cabal, or Kung Lao's ridiculous fashion statement of a hat stand out in comparison to the otherwise weak character development. To be frank, the writing for these characters is just atrocious, and the actors playing them deserved a much better script. Hell, if anything, the actors themselves are the characters' only redeeming attribute. Firstly, because the actors are doing the best they can with such an abysmal script, and secondly, their roles were cast with inclusiveness in mind. See, a lot of the characters in the Mortal Kombat games are of diverse backgrounds, and this core trait of the video game series is accurately reflected well in Mortal Kombat 2021. In the movie, many characters are played by actors actors and actresses of color and various other backgrounds instead of being whitewashed like in the Mortal Kombat films from the 90s, which is really cool to see because the diverse cast truly deserves to play these roles. And while sure there is a moment where the inclusive casting is undermined a bit when Kano goes on a racist rant that's played for laughs, the on-screen representation overall is a net positive. It is a good thing. It's just too bad it's in such a shitty movie because sadly the inclusive casting isn't enough to redeem the film and magically make it good. If anything, Mortal Kombat 2021 is just a bad movie with good representation, which is just unfortunate because I always want movies that cast a lot of actors from different backgrounds to succeed. After all, actors who don't fit the standard mold, i.e. folks in the industry who are black, Asian, Hispanic, indigenous people, queer, disabled, and etc., are all too often overlooked despite their raw talent. And that's awful. Like, it is a terrible industry standard that needs to go extinct. And for that reason alone, I really wanted Mortal Kombat 2021 to succeed. I hoped it would be a good movie worthy of its crew because the film's diverse cast truly is commendable. But unfortunately, Mortal Kombat 2021 is still a bad movie even with the good representation. Even though the diverse cast gives it a lot of merit, Mortal Kombat 2021 still remains a miserable movie-going experience, and that is a damn shame. So with all of this behind us, why not just play a Mortal Kombat video game instead of watching this torturous movie? After all, Mortal Kombat games are more than just good fighting experiences. The games come equipped with cool story modes that flesh out the characters making up their respective rosters and are generally worth playing in their own right due to the narrative. Sure, the gameplay in the Mortal Kombat games is awesome, deep, and fluid, but the solo modes that each new entry possesses continually make the series better than its competition. Through hours of gameplay and cutscenes, Mortal Kombat games feature narratives with clear direction and purpose, whereas most story modes and rival fighting series are made with minimal effort and are among the worst part of their respective games. Well, other than the plethora of microtransactions, of course, which admittedly is a problem shared with the most recent Mortal Kombat title, unfortunately. But regardless, why watch Mortal Kombat 2021 when it is inherently inferior to the games it is based on? As admittedly fun as some of the fan service and kills are, why watch Mortal Kombat 2021 when it is notably lesser than its source material? Sure, you can watch your favorite characters perform some gruesome fatalities and yell some of their famous one-liners, but at the end of the day, why log into HBO Max or go to the theater for Mortal Kombat 2021 when you can better engage with this franchise through the interactive medium of video games? Why plod through an awful story when its source material has a far superior narrative? Indeed, why watch Mortal Kombat 2021 at all? And with that, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the like rating and subscribe to my channel, and consider checking out my Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, I just want to thank my high tier patrons and Slasher Avails, Mom, and David Devlin. Thank you so much for supporting what I do. Love y'all.